Hi, I'm Deltra Coyne from Relationships and Mental Illness, and this week I would like to talk about workplace relationships. And last week I blogged about um, whether or not to disclose your mental illness to your employer. And I think that I talked about that from a very formal perspective about how your boss would feel about you or how your company in general might feel about you once you've disclosed your mental illness. But this week I want to talk about disclosure in a very informal way to friendships, to friends that you may have in the workplace or coworkers that you have in the workplace who serve as a support system for you in a different way than a boss or a human resources person or a manager might. I think that it's a good idea to find someone that you work with to disclose your mental illness to, whether it is a coworker or someone in another department or a mentor that you've established, for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is that we are social beings as humans, and we do relate to other people. And particularly when you have a mental illness, and even when you don't, you need support from people in the workplace. Sometimes that support is very informal in terms of, going out to lunch with your coworkers. Sometimes that's very formal, as in a mentor-mentee relationship where someone gives you advice about your career. But sometimes that turns into friendships and you wind up bonding on a personal level with people that you work with. When you have mental illness, your perception of a lot of things changes in a way that it doesn't for people who don't have an illness or have, very stable emotions. So you could be in a meeting and perceive your behavior in one way, but in reality it's another way. Or you could hear something that your boss says to you that's a criticism, and you could take it very personally and very deeply and have a very large reaction to it, whereas someone who has a different level of emotions might react a little bit differently to that. And so because those things happen in the workplace, I think it's really important to have people in the office that you can check in with, that won't think you're nuts, by acting, by asking, is our boss a little on edge today? Do you think it was inappropriate that he said that thing in the meeting? Or whether or not you want to check in on your personal behavior, something that you said or something that you just reacted to that you're not really sure about. I have two such friends in the workplace. One of them is my coworker who is in the same department as I am, and his name is Ricky, and I talked about him in a previous blog post, and I'm sure I'll talk about him again because we were friends outside of the office. But he's someone who's disclosed, who's come out to me as gay, and who's talked about, abuse in his past and abusive parents, and a lot of the therapy that he's gone through and a lot of the changes that have happened in his life, and he's very forthcoming, and that made me very comfortable disclosing my mental illness to him. And he's been very supportive in terms of what I want to talk about, and is also somebody that I can talk to about my boss because he knows my boss very well, and I can sort of ask about that sort of behavior and not ask my boss, and therefore be in a more comfortable position than I would ordinarily be in. I have another friend whose name is Anne. She doesn't work in my department, but she does work with the same people that I work with. And it's helpful that she is a social worker. And it's also helpful that she is one of those people who is fairly stable in terms of thinking about what she does before she does it, thinking about other people's behaviors and reactions before she does anything. And that's very helpful to me because I have a tendency to fly off the handle, particularly when I'm in manic episodes. And so she sort of calms me from that perspective. So I want to know what you guys think, how you feel about disclosing your mental illness to anybody that you work with, how that makes you feel vulnerable or how that makes you feel comfortable. Really looking forward to people's reactions to that, as well as anything else you want to talk about relationships in the workplace. Hope everybody has a great week. Bye-bye.